Hey guys, it's Christina. This is Vox and Guest. And as you may have figured out, I am here with Anger Overdose. Say hi, everybody. Hi, everybody. Oh my gosh. Anger Overdose in the house. This is very exciting for me because you guys are one of the first bands that I got into when I started talking to this indie metal community, and now I have you in my clutches and I can do whatever I want with you for the next couple hours. That sounds pretty good for me. Rob is already hiding, so why don't you guys introduce yourselves quickly, and then we'll get to it.
I'm Robert Zorn.
I'm Ambrose, Uberdosis.
I'm Mel. I'm from Melishah.
And you're all the way from Australia, aren't you?
I am. Yes.
Yeah. So they probably would have figured that out from the accent if they didn't already know it. And actually, Mel, you are the first lady, besides me, if we want to call me that, which I don't know how accurate that is, on this show. So you are the first non-dude to hang out with me. So I'm very excited to have a little more estrogen in the house. Okay, so let's start with a philosophical debate, okay? And then we'll get to the music stuff. Are you guys ready? Okay, and I want you guys to each think about this carefully and give me your answer, right? Would you rather fight 100 duck-sized horses or one horse-sized duck?
I'm going with the horse-sized duck.
Okay, show your work. Explain your reasoning. Why horse-sized duck?
Because I still think that 100 duck-sized horses, it would end up being too much.
Okay.
I just think that it's a numbers game.
All right, you're going with volume. I understand it. Ducks can be a little bit nasty, but all right, I hear you. Okay, all right, so we've got Ambrose's call. Who wants to take it on next?
I gotta agree with Ambrose there. I'm thinking that one big one, I might be able to hit it once or twice. Yeah, all right. 100 of them, I'm gonna run out of breath trying to step on them or something. Like, nah, I'm good.
So it's like the level boss in a game. You just gotta find that one weak spot and get that duck.
Right.
Okay,
I'm 6'2", so I think I got a chance. I'm a big dude.
You're gonna take your chances with the duck. Okay, all right, Mel. Do we have a complete agreement or do we have a dissent?
I don't know. Do we have weapons? That's the question.
That is a good question. Well, if you didn't, what would you do? If it were just a hand to web or hand to hoof combat kind of situation?
I think I'm going to have to go opposite, actually. So I think I'd try and just run.
You're just going to try to outrun a bunch of duck-sized horses. I mean, horses are kind of known for their running, Mel, so I'm not sure how successful you would be in that particular endeavor. You try to jump on one and ride it, Yeah,
that's right.
Okay, all right. And then maybe you could turn them into your militia, You have a little horse, mini horse army. All right. Okay. So we already have some differing views in the band. That's good to know. All right. Important question. I'm glad that we tackled it. So, okay. So as you might imagine, I have about a bajillion things to say to you guys and ask you guys and want to hear from you guys about, but let's start simple. Okay. Because the band has evolved and grown and is growing and all that over the years. So why don't you guys run through the history a little bit, what each of you does. I know, and I'm pretty sure a lot of people watching do, but for anyone that's uninitiated, Rob, you want to talk a little bit, all of you really, but just about where Anger Overdose started and where it is now.
Well, I've known Uberdosis since we were kids, maybe like 10 years old, grew up around the corner from each other in Philly. So we've been friends since then. Always shared a common, similar taste in music. Ambrose showed me Megadeth. We went to a Megadeth concert together. It was the first show I ever went to.
Two.
We
went to two.
Right,
Yep.
right. We did go to two. Also Pantera White Zombie. Sorry, Mel. But as I said, we've known each other for many, many years. And then, was after being, locked up with the pandemic and all that other nonsense and bored, I decided to start making some music. And, through Facebook, I reached out and was like, hey, man, I'm working on this. You want to be a part of it? And, might be cool to have, some of your guitar playing. And, here's what I'm doing. And he agreed to it and sent me over some stuff. And we just kept doing it back and forth. It became fun. And we just decided to kind of make it into a band. And, we called it Anger Overdose. And we've been together ever since and just trying to, have fun, evolve our sound. And, that's it.
And then pretty recently, last couple months at least, it was announced. I don't know how long you were in talks, but you brought Mel on.
Right.
The lovely vocals from Mel. And Mel, how did you, end up kind of coming into the fold here?
Well, it's through the Facebook community. I think once again, talking to people. And then I think I said, hey, do you want to submit my song onto your playlist for Spotify? It's not very heavy. What do you think, kind of thing? And then Zorn said, it's all good. The quality's there, so it's fine. It's going on the list. So and then we just started talking from there. And then they sent me over the first song just to have a look, listen to and see if I wanted to add any vocals to 1999.
Mm-hmm.
And then I was like, this is a fun song. This is so cool.
Yeah.
Definitely going to put my vocals on that one. So that's all kind of how it came to be.
Okay. Very cool. Yeah, no, it's because I'm assuming Red Eyes is the one that you were submitting to him for the play. Yeah, great song too. So, but yeah, I mean, I could see where you might wonder if it was a fit, at least for a playlist, because it is a little bit different. But no, I remember seeing the announcement that you were going to be joining the band. I think it was on Melanie Nix. Did you first? Yeah, and I was like, oh, okay, this is very this is very cool. So okay, so great. So and then Ambrose, man, your guitar is just redonkulous. Like I'm sitting there listening because you guys know when I do this show, I listen to literally everything. Like if it's streaming, I listen to it. So I've heard everything that's been released at least on Spotify, and like I just keep going, damn, this guy's like Van Halen. He's got you just got such skills.
Monster.
Keep those expectations managed, okay?
No, but look, I mean, really, it's just because the metal that I listen to, which is a lot of it now, which still completely amuses me, but it's you don't always get that just shredding kind of guitar in there, and it adds such a cool dimension to the music and a texture to the music, and it really, I think, in a way makes it even more accessible for people who might not be just super, super, super into metal. I mean, like for me, and I say this a lot because I talk to a lot of metal bands and I keep repeating that I am not somebody that historically has listened to metal. It's not my genre. It's not something I'm familiar with at all. And I found so much of that rock kind of guitar layered in there, something that I could hook into and recognize. And and everything else is great. So obviously it was easy for me to like it. But the bonus of having you just fucking on every, I know I'm supposed to be managing expectations. So he's not a very good guitarist, but he's a dapper looking gentleman. That's why they let him stay in the band. Is that better? Is that what you would prefer I say? But
that works.
No, I have to give you props. I do, because you play. Besides Anger Overdose, you play covers too, right? I mean,
most of my. So I started gigging semi-professionally when I was 16. So like back in '96, I was playing like old rundown strip clubs with cover bands. So it's been mostly for nigh on 30 years. It's been cover bands with a little bit of originals peppered in. But being in I'm in a cover band right now, but before that, I was doing a Journey tribute band. So a lot of what you hear was sort of transferred from my time doing that
Makes a ton of sense. Yeah.
You know, so, and I mean, we didn't do just Journey. We did, oh God, you name it, Outfield, Van Halen, Rick Springfield, Night
Wagon Wheel, I'm
Ranger.
sure.
No,
No, I'm
we didn't.
kidding.
Yeah, no, we didn't do that. But so, and that was music that I didn't really like super appreciate at the time,
Hmm.
because I come from Megadeth, Dream Theater,
Yeah.
Pantera, so that was like my gig, and then I get into this Journey band, and the whole game changed,
Yeah.
because I didn't have a deep appreciation for Neil Schon until I started to have to play like him.
And then you
And
realize how fucking talented
it's
the
like,
guy
what
is.
the
Yeah.
fuck?
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
this guy's a
Squeaky.
monster.
Yep.
So,
Yeah.
and
No,
that
no.
opened up other doors. That opened up doors to like, I rekindled my love of like Eric Johnson and all those guys who do like the chord progressions they have are just fucking insane.
Mm-hmm. And you're moving a
Like
mile a minute. Yeah.
yeah, I wish like just the way they play, like just even like chord phrasings, just the way they play those. It's like I could spend another lifetime just learning how to do that.
Do that.
So
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, no, but I mean so it's cool then that you have this whole range of genres that you're used to. And one of the things about being in a cover band, which, obviously I am too, you have to learn to do a lot of different things because most cover bands, unless it's a tribute, you are playing things like you said, Van Halen, Outfield, maybe some Fleetwood Mac, and then just Black Crows, and maybe you're doing some, I don't know, Brandy or whatever. Like there's just a whole bunch of different shit, and you have to be willing and able to adapt. Rob is just popping in and out, but I mean, it does give you a lot of flexibility, or it requires a lot of flexibility of you. And so I thought that was one of the coolest things about the Anger Overdose sound, was that there are all these very, it seems weird to say, traditional metal elements, like it's some sort of like canon kind of thing, but I mean, there are traditional elements to it, and then you've got this just screaming guitar going on in there, and it really it turned on my brain, because I was like, this is something I know, this is something I recognize, this is something I like, and it's layered onto something that I don't ordinarily listen to, and it works, because it could not work, but it does work. So I mean, to sort of get into specific songs a little bit, 1999 is the first song that the three of you did together.
Right.
Yeah.
And I know everybody's heard it, right? People at
Hope
home,
so.
everybody's heard it. You better, we're all wearing the shirts, you gotta go listen to the songs. But yeah, Mel and I are twinning over here. What are you wearing? Is that Isaac Venin, Rob? What are you wearing? Oh no, I can't. Yeah, I'm right. Okay, I thought I recognized the font. Damn, I'm getting really sucked into the metal world. I couldn't even see anything, but I saw the slope, and then I was like, I think I have that shirt, and I do.
I was waiting for you to say something.
well, and I'm
I
wearing
really can't. Yeah, what do you have on?
That's
wearing
the original.
the OG Anger Overdose shirt.
Ooh, okay, look
And-
at that. Yeah, the
and
Bayou shirt. Okay,
there's only
okay.
two of
So
them. There's only
I
two
like
of
it.
them.
We've got old and new here, sartorially representing. But
Yeah, speaking of
so-
old and new, we were debating making a surprise announcement on your show, if that's okay with you.
yes, it is okay with me. I'm glad we're going to actually get to do that. So okay, Rob contacted me. What, it was like a week ago. We had scheduled this interview a while back, and I was like, okay, yeah, it's great. We're going to get to talk, whatever. And he's like, by the way, I'm going to be bringing another person on the show. And I was like, what now? What do you mean you're going to be bringing another person on the show? He's like, yeah, we have an announcement. I want to bring somebody else in. So, Rob, you wanna talk about what the surprise is a little bit?
Well,
So
speaking
people
of
know?
expanding our sounds and adding some members, I thought, this might be pretty cool to get someone who actually knows how to play a real bass to join to help out with that low end that I like. So we decided to reach out to a guy that I've been talking to, friendly wise, and I was showing him some of our upcoming material, and he dug it, and said that he would like to maybe lay down some bass lines. And I said, well, if you're going to lay down some bass lines for this, why don't you just keep laying down bass lines for everything? And they agreed. And hopefully they'll be joining us within a few minutes.
A few minutes?
A few minutes.
Okay, so we have, this is a huge Vox and Guest scoop. I'm very excited. Thank you for doing it on the show, that you are adding a bass player. It is a mystery individual. So they are not coming on right now, but you'll let us know, I guess.
Well,
oh, wait.
Oh.
Oh, man. Oh, man. Oh, my God, Chris. You know, it's like I have been trying to figure out who. Rob was like, I'm not going to tell you. I'm not going to tell you. You're going to be really happy, but I'm not going to tell you. I'm not going to tell you. And so, Chris, hello. Thank you for joining us. I know it is early there. Would you like to introduce yourself, new bass player?
What's going on, everybody? It's Chris from Isaiah Venden, and yes, I've joined Anger Overdose. So thanks for having me.
So now the shirt makes sense, Rob. Okay. I'm just so used to everybody, you know, like we all wear each other's stuff all that. Well, nobody wears voxandstix shirts because we don't have them. But I just, Chris, before, I don't know if you were able to hear, I don't think so. But just before you came on, I was talking about how Mel and I are both wearing the new Anger Overdose shirt, and Ambrose has the original one. And I couldn't see, and so do you. Look at this. We look like some sort of cult at this point. But Rob's shirt was sort of below the video line, and I was like, I feel like I can recognize like the very top of the logo, and I was like, is that an Isaac Event shirt? And now we know. This is so exciting. So okay, you are going to be the new bass player for Anger Overdose. Talk to me about how the hell. I mean, Rob just sort of went over it a little bit, but how did that happen?
So basically, you know, been trying to work my way around the circuit, and kind of at a standstill with Isaiah Venden. We're working on the new single, and I had some downtime, and I talked to Rob about doing a collaboration. And if my memory serves me right, you know, I sent him the bass track, and then we kind of talked about, hey, you know, do you want to be a permanent fixture?
Okay. Yeah, that's pretty much what he said. All right, your stories line up. You aren't like, yeah, well, you know, he sent me $1,000 and he threatened me if I didn't join. So I'm glad that the two stories are the same. So, okay. Okay, so this is, wow, this is a pretty big deal. Look at you, just marrying two of the most awesome metal bands that I know. And now I have to put I'm gonna have to wear the shirts at the same time somehow. I'm gonna have to, you know, I'm gonna have to figure out a way to do that. But wow, okay, this I'm thinking of now, because Isaac Venden has a very particular sound, and it's different from Anger Overdose. So, do you feel like, Chris, you're going to be bringing more Isaac Venden like elements in? Are you going to be trying to fit in more to what Anger Overdose is doing? Are you not really sure what the hell you're going to do yet, or have you guys talked about that at all?
I've done about 3 songs already. It's not Isaac Venden at all.
Okay.
There's not enough space for it. With all the synthesizers and everything that's going on. I think if I were to try to add more bass, it would take away from the other things, and that's not my intent. So rather, I kind of took the Tony Campos from Static X, Christian Old Walvers from Fear Factory, that more driving bass line.
Okay. Thank you for saying that, because those are not bands that I know. Rob is nodding, and I'm like, okay, I believe me, every time I do these shows, I have a list of things that I have to go and listen to. That's like my homework. And we lost Ambrose for a second, but I'm sure he'll come back. That's it. We can only have three members of Anger Overdose on the screen at the same time. So Chris joined and Ambrose had to go, but they're actually the same person. They can't be in the same room. But yeah, that's okay. So more driving, so different from what you're usually doing. Okay, that's got to be fun. Actually, though, you get to do a whole other thing.
Yeah, it's challenging, but it's fun. I get to tap into the old Sepultura. It's like that real.
Okay, that's a band I do know.
A lot of 8 notes. So no, it's a lot of fun.
Okay. Wow. So there you go. Now all of a sudden you've got some real low end that's just going to bump everything up. Okay.
Right. We had a few tracks where I got stuck playing the bass on, and I'm not proficient. I'm adequate at best, depending on the songs. But being an industrial band, I also have stuff that I wrote that I just can't play on a bass even if I wanted to. So it's like, and on those songs, it's, just samples and stuff. It's fine for our style. It's cool, but I think it's going to be even cooler now because it's going to be like some real bass mixed in, it's just like.
And it's Chris. It's Chris.
That makes it even better.
It's not just bass. It's Chris.
Exactly.
Yeah. I mean, dude, I'm excited. I'm like really excited because I am because even though you're not going to be doing what I'm used to hearing, I know what a good bass player you are. So I'm very excited about this. This is so how long do we have to wait before we get to welcome back Ambrose?
Hi, I got kicked out. A phone call came in and kicked me out.
Oh no. Oh my God. It was probably the press. They just heard about Chris joining the band and now your phone is blowing up. It was TMZ, right? I knew it. But so, I mean, how long do we have to wait before we get the first taste of Chris as bass player for AOD?
I would say probably July just started. I'm saying mid-August, maybe the end of August. I'm trying to keep it on the Spotify release schedule.
Okay. So not terribly long, but not right away. Okay.
Right. I mean, the song's pretty much done. I'm in the final process of putting everything together, making sure everybody's happy with it, and then we'll send it off to get produced and then set it up for release. So I'm thinking that mid-August or so will be a good time to debut it. And this one, this is not a cover. This is the next original Anger Overdose track.
Okay.
So I'm looking forward to getting it out there. I think I like it.
Okay,
I like it a lot.
If you like it, okay. If you both like it, Mel, I'm assuming you like it.
Oh no, I hate it. No.
Okay. See, this is the second time she's disagreed. First, it was the battle, and actually now I feel like I need to go back. Should I ask Chris our very important philosophical question? Do we see how aligned you guys are mentally? Chris?
I'm curious to hear it. Yes, I
Chris. Okay, so I start off every show with a really important, deeply thought out, serious, insightful, incisive, mental gymnastic kind of question. You missed it, so I'm gonna ask it to you now. Are you ready?
Is it grilled cheese or tacos?
No,
Yes.
although I have had a lot of
one.
people send me their answers to that, so I feel like at some point I'm gonna have to just do a compilation thing where I get everybody's take on it. No, this is different. Okay, this is much more serious. Would you? It does involve a fight, though. Would you rather fight? What the hell was that? 100 duck-sized horses or one horse-sized duck, and why? See, I told you it was important.
What's the right answer, Chris?
Chris quits. That's it. He's like, I'm fucking done. I'm not answering this question. He's really thinking about this. Okay, here we go.
I guess 100 duck-sized horses.
You and Mel agree? Okay, the band is split 50-50. Tell me why.
A duck the size of a horse is a pretty intimidating thing. I think duck-sized horses are a little more manageable. You can kick the shit out of those.
You just get like one of those, big balls on a chain or whatever and just take them out. See, Mel had the same answer as you, but her reasoning, perhaps not
the right
airtight, not airtight, was that she was going to outrun them. And when I pointed out the whole, horsepower running horse thing, she's, we've decided she's going to jump on one of them, ride it into the ground, and then take over the whole cabal of duck-sized horses. So, okay, 50-50. You guys you're going to have, this is going to have to be in the artwork for the next single.
I was going to say, I say a music video here, actually.
See, there you go. I just want to see Mel riding one of those little duck-sized horses. Take me back in time. Yeah, let's just go for it. So, okay, I've led into it, I think, because we've talked about covers, we've talked about recent music, and we're going to talk more about 1999 and everything as the first song that you guys got into together. But because I tend to get so caught up in these conversations, and then it's like the last 10 minutes of the show, and I'm like, oh shit, I have to play the video. I'm forcing myself lately to do that at the beginning, so everybody who loves a song already gets to hear it, and everybody who doesn't knows what we're talking about when we're discussing it. So you guys just came out with your latest single, which Chris is obviously not on yet, but yesterday, right? Okay, by the time this airs, it will be a couple weeks ago. But why don't you? I don't know who wants to take this one. Mel hasn't gotten to talk too much,
Yeah,
but
I want Mel to talk.
Yeah. So why don't you talk to us about the sexy new single?
Well, it was brought to my attention. It was already kind of started to be produced by them. So I just basically had to lay down my vocals for it. So it was a very interesting song. I was like, oh, can I do this? It's pretty, Britney Spears. It's pretty a big challenge.
Just for anybody who doesn't know, we're talking about the cover of Toxic by Rob's girlfriend, Britney Spears.
Yes.
Just like they're like this. She just doesn't know it yet. But she will. So yeah, I mean, I when I first heard about the project, I was like, yeah, okay. This seems like full circle for AOD to me. It's a Britney song. It's something for Mel to chew on. And I was hoping, and it does, that it was going to have Rob's vocals too. But yeah, why don't we play it? And then we can talk about it a little bit more. What do you guys think? Okay. Do you want to say anything about it quickly before we do that, or you want to save it for after?
I'll say something first. Brittany, call me.
Brittany, call him. Get off the phone with Rob Zombie, and then both of you call him. That's it. Both of you call him. We have to do one of those like phone party things for you. Yeah. Okay. All right.
Seriously, just call so he shuts the hell up about it.
It's really more of resolving a hostage situation for Ambrose at this point than anything for Rob. So, all right, yeah, I Brittany, call him, please, just for Ambrose's sake, if nothing else, be kind to him. So, let us roll the brand new single from Anger Overdose, Toxic.
Baby, can't you see I'm calling? A girl like you should wear a warning. It's dangerous, I'm falling. There's no escape.
I can't wait.
I need a hit.
Baby, give me it.
You're dangerous, I'm loving it.
Too high, you can't come down. Losing my head, spinning round and round.
Do you feel me now?
With a taste of your lips on taste of your lips, I'm alright. You're toxic, I'm slipping under the taste of a poison paradise. Something between toxic. The taste of your lips, I'm alright. You're toxic, I'm slipping under the taste of a poison paradise. Something between don't you know that you're toxic?
Okay, so talk me through. I'm going to assume, Rob, that doing a Britney Spears cover, I was going to say doing Britney was your idea, but I'm not going to hand you that layup. Doing a Britney Spears cover was your idea, I'm guessing? Is that how it all began?
What would make you say that?
Oh, I don't know. You've never mentioned her, so I don't know where I got that idea. But yeah, okay. So I'm assuming it was you. You decided to just go because I mean we all know you covered 1999, right?
Oh,
A Prince
right.
song.
Yeah,
It is
right.
not the Prince 1999
not.
people. Okay,
Oh, I
we're
would
gonna
cover
get to
that. I would cover that, by the way.
You would, but you
Yes,
didn't.
absolutely.
So
but
all
I
right.
didn't.
So
Right, I just took the name.
right. Exactly. All right. So Britney, how did it happen?
Well, I mean, obviously, I have an infatuation with everything '90s.
Yeah.
That's when I grew up. I graduated high school in 1999. Uh, Whether I listened to her or not, I was absolutely aware of her existence. How could I not be? You
I think
know,
everything on the planet was, yeah.
exactly. So I mean, it was just like the big thing. So even though I was a metalhead, I knew who she was. I heard the songs, and it obviously made an impression, whether it was my genre per se or not. And then as I got older, I had a couple of little girls that I raised, and their musical taste was much more skewed towards pop, especially at the young age. They liked the rock too, but they weren't necessarily ready for Carcass or
For daddy's music, yeah.
right.
All right,
Cannibal
baby, it's
Corpse
time to go to
right.
sleep. Yeah, so yeah, I could totally see that.
Right. So, then you just keep hearing it over and over again, the nostalgia of it all or whatever. And, my youngest at the time, she was going through a Britney phase. So we had a playlist in the car. We would hear different things. And, Toxic, I was like, I can make this heavy. I know I can.
Mm-hmm.
And I kind of like to do that just goofing around. Like there's stuff that I would make and never release,
Yeah.
just goofing around, just taking songs and just make them heavy. It's just something I find funny.
Yeah.
So around the time when I was writing 1999 and a couple of the other things, contrary to popular belief, that's almost a year old. It just wasn't ready for our last album. But when I was writing that, I just wrote this version, the bass version of Toxic that eventually came out, just as an inside joke, really, like for my daughter, and just,
Okay.
turned it death metal. And we thought it was funny, and we talked about releasing it, but we were back and forth.
Yeah.
But then when we hooked up with Mel and she nailed 1999 out of the park, I let her hear that demo, and I was like, listen, I think we could crush this. I think this would be hilarious. I was like, even if I was like, I don't know if it'll be good, but it'll at least be hilarious, right? So I was like,
If nothing else, it'll be funny, right?
right.
Okay.
And so I said, are you in? And she said, absolutely.
Now I want to know, Ambrose, when Rob comes to you with covering Britney Spears, what do you say? Were you immediately like, yeah, totally, that'll be hilarious? Or were you like, dude, what the hell are you thinking right now?
Well, I mean, knowing the direction it was going to go in anyway, I was pretty well down for it because,
Okay.
I know to expect that it'll be, Britney, but it's going to be our version of Britney. So,
Right.
if it was anybody, if it wasn't Rob and somebody else came to me and said, "Hey, I'd be like, yeah, let me hear your ideas first." But knowing what I know, I was down. I was ready to go.
Okay, because I wasn't sure if that was going to have been a conversation or not, with a small intervention around Rob and the whole Britney thing or whatever. But it just works so well because you kept so many of and I remember the first time you sent me an early track, I think, before Mel had any vocals on it or anything.
Yeah,
And you
that's probably
didn't
the
tell
one I
me
sent
what it
her.
was. Yeah, you
Yeah.
didn't tell me what it was. You were just like, here, this is what we're working on.
Right.
And it starts playing, and I'm like, that sounds like Toxic by Britney Spears. And then I was like, oh my God, it's Toxic by Britney Spears.
Right.
And I'm like, of course it is. And it really, I bet if she hears it, she'll dig it. I don't
hope
know
so.
if she'll ever hear it, but I think I get the feeling that Britney will appreciate what you've done with it, because it's faithful to the original enough, but it's definitely an Anger Overdose cover. So, yeah. So, but okay. And so, I mean, Chris, I feel a little bit bad because obviously we're going to be talking about a lot of stuff that all of it really that you haven't been able to play on yet. Because the thing is that Anger Overdose has a very long, well, it's not very long, but, a longer history. Rob and Ambrose, you guys have been at this for a couple of years, and, there are a couple of albums that are out. And I'm assuming that part of the reason that Mel and Chris, you guys were eager to join in is because you're fans of the music. Generally, people don't join bands they don't like. So, I mean, what were the first songs that you guys heard by Rob and Ambrose that really kind of made you go, oh, this is a band I would like to be part of?
I listened to Bayou and Burn. So straight away, I used to listen to Fear Factory growing up. So I had that Fear Factory vibe, and also that Rob Zombie, a little bit of Rob Zombie in there too. So just really, I love that style of music. I grew up with that. My two older brothers, that I listened to that with them. They're big heavy metal fans. So I was just surrounded with that type of music growing up. So it really just feels like home to me.
I hear you. Okay. Yeah. That's interesting. So do you mostly listen to metal? Or, I mean, because again, Red Eyes is not...
It's not metal.
No, it's... Yeah, I mean, I was like...
Not yet.
Unless it's a... Yeah, right. I have the feeling that at some point it may be metal-fied, but, I was like, unless I'm missing something here, I know I'm not all that well-versed with metal, but I'm pretty sure it's not metal. But you must listen to other things, or at least you're used to singing other things.
I've got a very wide taste in genres. So I grew up... My mum was a country and western singer, so I went to all of her gigs with her.
Oh,
so, everything country. But I don't really... There's not a genre that I kind of heard too much of that when I grew up.
Okay.
So,
yeah,
but
you're full.
So, but yeah, everything. Like I love R&B, I love hip hop, I love a bit of country, but metal, rock, everything. I appreciate all the genres. I think the only thing that really kind of grates me is probably classical, which my partner loves.
Okay.
He loves classical, and I'm like,
that works out great, doesn't it?
And he hates heavy metal, so.
Oh no. No. Okay, well, so you just don't listen to music together in the car. That's all.
No, we don't. No. And I normally drive alone, so it's all good.
There you go. No, it's funny. I talk like I don't want to spoil it, but I guess it will have aired by the time long before this does. But when I was talking to Mick from Shovel Monster, there was a similar kind of thing of like, there's what you do professionally, musically, and then there's what your partner, your spouse, who your significant other likes and will tolerate. And then there's what you're allowed to listen to in the car. And they're usually three completely different things.
Yeah.
So, you're not alone in that car journey. So, okay. So you are open to pretty much anything, but metal is definitely familiar ground for you. And Chris, what about you? What was your introduction to Anger Overdose in the first place? And what else do you listen to, if anything, besides metal?
Okay, so I'm kind of new to all this. Maybe 4 months ago, I think I finally got on the whole Facebook thing.
Okay.
And it was around the time, I think, when 1999 came out, and that was my introduction to Anger Overdose.
Oh,
and
okay.
Then Rob sent me the beginning stages of Toxic, and I could hear the bass line in my head, and I was like,
yeah, I could really do something with this.
And that's what kind of led me to working more towards doing that collaboration.
Gotcha.
But what Anger Overdose does falls right in line with what my interests are. I like a lot of the old KMFDM Ministry.
Okay. I mostly know just the names, but I think I've heard at least part of a song by at least one of them. But yeah, okay. So,
but as far as my musical interests go, all the different subgenres of metal, black metal, death metal, deathcore, and all these other labels they've given everything. I don't really know what differentiates most of them at this point.
Nobody seems to. I think it's all made up by some shadow corporation that has nothing to do with metal. It's just nobody seems to be able to tell me that. But because
I'm just too old to care. It's just metal to me. I'm
I hear you.
Exactly.
Well, and a lot of musicians have said, as long as it's good, who cares what we call it? So I've kind of taken to doing that because then I don't have to try to figure out what subgenre it is. So, but okay, so Chris, you're mostly just listening to metal. There's nothing else that you're into that you would, put on in the car, in the gym, or anywhere else?
Oh, that's far from reality. No, I listen to a wide variety of things. I grew up on a lot of 50s and 60s stuff. So when you listen to Iziga Venin, I guess that's my Motown influence with all the moving bass lines.
Okay. That makes sense to me.
But I listen to everything from Enya to Cannibal Corpse. So.
Okay. I didn't think there was anybody that only listened to one genre, but there are so many subgenres that I suppose you could kind of get away with it with metal. But that makes sense to me too, because I don't think any of you only sound like you do only one thing or listen to only one thing. And I think that's part of what makes the band so interesting, is that, Rob, you've got this, even with your vocals, you change them up a lot. You'll have that really low growl, and then you'll do other songs where it's like not higher, not softer. I wouldn't say you have anything that's soft, but you're not affecting it as much. It's and really like Bayou, for example, that's got that. I mean, I think it's very well named too, and I mean, maybe I shouldn't, but I find the song kind of darkly funny. And so there's the humor in there. There's different vocalization styles in there, and as I said, you've got Ambrose over there in the corner shredding, although I'm not supposed to say that. I'm supposed to keep the expectations low. So we've got Ambrose over there learning basic bar chords or whatever you want me to say.
Being mid.
Being mid. That's right. There we go. We've mid has entered the chat. So yeah, but I mean, and then Mel, with you've got this. What I love about the combination of you singing on a track with Rob is that you do have this very bright, it is a feminine sound, but it doesn't sound. Lest anybody think I mean that sounds weak or dainty or whatever. It doesn't. It's just a kick-ass woman singing along to metal. Yeah, I mean, again, I'm a singer, at least ostensibly, and I do that sometimes when I'm not doing this show. But I mean, and so I always go in for vocals first, vocals and lyrics. Those are the things that catch my ear first. And, it's like with Greg, he always listens for the drums and yada, yada. But I love that contrast, where Rob's underneath by an octave or two, and then you're floating up there at the top and kind of tying the whole thing together. And what I like is that your vocals and Ambrose's guitar tend to be up here, kind of in the same space, and then when Chris comes in especially, but Rob has got everything here on the low end vocally and with the bass and I really just like how you guys are filling all that sonic space the way that you do. Yeah. So to get to an actual question, what's the process there? Because obviously you guys are as we said, you're a global phenomenon now, multiple countries, multiple time zones. So obviously you're doing everything. I know you said you send things back and forth, but Rob, are you always the one that starts with the idea for the song? Ambrose, do you ever come to him and say, hey, I've got a riff in my head or I have a thing? What's the songwriting process for the band? And how's that going to change, if at all, with the two new members now?
Well, You want to take this, Ambrose, or you want me
Yeah,
to?
I mean, a vast majority of it has been Rob's initial sort of framework. Bayou was actually, he had come to me kind of real short in the start of the whole band and said, "Can you give me something that sounds, old school country?" And I gave him two sets of riffs, and he sort of pieced it all together, and that's what you hear now. So
Okay.
as far as initial contributions, short answer, it's been mostly him. I've had like one or two things here and there. I have stuff that I'm considering bringing in, but depending on
Oh.
the direction, of the sound is going to determine whether I can or not logistically.
Okay.
So,
Gotcha. Okay. Okay. Is that more because it's not so
Style.
metal? Is it because it's, maybe with what you guys are at, like what makes you feel like, I know you might not want to say too much, so I'm trying to keep the question vague, but like,
No, it would mostly be stylistic at that point, because if we're kind of going in this 90s ish direction, sound wise, or whatever it is we're kind of doing, it may not necessarily fit in this iteration of it, but maybe a little ways down the road if we've evolved again into the latest insert name core band sound.
I think you guys have to just start like an anger core. I think you just,
Angercore?
yeah, do your own thing. Just make your own
That's what I was
subgenre.
about to say. I mean, I don't. I mean, he's right in the sense that thus far everything that we put out started as a seed in my brain. I started putting some stuff together, doing either a riff on my guitar or the programming or just whatever have you, and then I send it around and make them all listen to it 15,000 times when I change one little thing, and constantly asking for feedback, et cetera, et cetera.
Get ready for this, Chris. This is what you're in for.
He
This
knows.
is your future.
He knows. It's already happened. But so yeah, and then, but that's kind of what I like about it is I like hearing it, like my idea, then I pass it off to them, and I don't really give them any direction outside of this is what I have. And
Okay.
I say, here it is, and then I wait, and then they come up with whatever they come back, and they send it back to me, and we work it from there. In the future, I would like to try to expand a little bit more, and let Ambrose, especially now that I have a live bass player, Chris, maybe those two can collaborate a little bit more on like the guitar pieces and stuff, and do a little bit more intricate stuff that I'm capable of. I mean, I'm an okay guitar player, but that's not. I consider myself more of a songwriter, more of a producer than I would consider myself a musician per se. So, I would like to kind of like let them write some stuff, see what they can come up with, and then what can I do with it? I still want to sing at least sometimes, but
I think that would be good. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, yeah. Well,
Yeah,
thank you.
exactly. They're going to force you.
See, I'm the one. I'm the one that keeps trying to get out of it. That's why I brought her on, so I didn't have to anymore.
No,
I do enjoy
works.
doing. Well, I do enjoy doing it, but I would definitely like to. Like you said, we had 2 albums out that I wrote. 90 to whatever percent of the songs, all the lyrics, everything, and but it was only a 2-piece band, and that's just how it worked. Now that we got the 4 people, I'd like to continue trying to like follow this out. You mentioned that I keep changing my voice on the song. One, I guess you're your own worst critic. I'll leave it at that. But also aside from that, I don't like to repeat myself. I try not. I try not to repeat myself. There's obviously elements in all of our songs that is cohesive. It's Anger Overdose.
Right.
But I can't think of many 2 songs back to back that I would say sound like identical. Maybe some similarities in style, but
no, I agree with you. No, I do. I agree with you because even from the AOD album to the Anger Overdose album, I feel like the Anger Overdose album has more rock elements and more of a rock feel to it than the AOD album does. And then, 1999 is a completely different thing. It's,
and it's funny because 1999 was supposed to be on AOD. I just didn't get it done.
But it's funny though, because it works. I don't know, to me, it would have been fine on the album because, as you said, and I agree, it's not it wouldn't be out of place because there isn't just one kind of thing that you're doing per album or even across albums, but like it does sound different enough to me that I kind of think of it as a shift in the sound. And so when Ambrose was saying, if this is the direction that we're headed in, if this is the sound that we're aiming for, and I want to kind of come back to that because for all four of you, since this isn't either a benevolent or a malevolent dictatorship on Rob's part, and you guys are very much already coming up with what you're going to do on what he sends you that started in his brain. Have you guys had talks around, okay, this is a particular sound that we're aiming into? Is this kind of the, are you looking to do a particular sort of style or particular kind of genre, or does it really depend on if you're all going to be adding new things and writing things together, and maybe Ambrose and Chris are going to be collaborating on something initially that starts with guitar and bass? Do you have is there a lane that you guys want to be staying in? Is that what I'm understanding? Or is it just more, these are the things you're gravitating towards, and so Ambrose is saying, well, it's kind of in this style? Like, how locked into this 90s kind of thing are you? Is that official, or are you guys going to maybe just surprise the hell out of us and come out with something that's completely different, but still Anger Overdose?
I think, because the funny thing is, so I can't cite specific songs at the moment, but Rob and I had passed ideas back and forth where it started to sound, it came to me sounding one way, and then I did whatever I did to the song, and it completely shifted the direction that song was going to go in.
Oh, wow. Okay.
So, and likewise, stuff that he did after the fact, we put our parts in, and maybe he cut up a couple of things and moved them around, completely changed the direction of where that song was going to go. So for me anyway, I think having a direction, at least for this band, I think that's a losing battle. I think the songs will determine where we are with each release. So I mean, we're kind of in the 90s. We're in the 90s right now, but with Chris coming aboard and Melishah here, I mean, that things could very well move like completely across to the other side of the street. So, and that's not a bad thing.
No, I don't think so either, but you're open to that. So you guys, the reason I asked the question is mainly you said, you had some things you were thinking of bringing, but you weren't sure if stylistically they were going to work. And so I was wondering if that meant that you guys were really trying to stay within a particular style, or do you mean what you have would be so different?
Yeah, it would
like
be
not even metal kind of different, that different, or
different in the genre enough that, I wouldn't want to put, that kind of, to put that out or to introduce it, and you can't really do anything with it because it's just not where we are at that point.
Gotcha.
So, just kind of waiting to hear what we have coming up in the next several, releases. And
Sure.
I might push it in, one song is a little more on the progressive side. So maybe if we kind of work our way in there somewhere.
That might be a bridge to what you're...
Yeah. Yep.
Okay. Oh, that's cool. See, I really like this idea of you guys figuring out what you're going to do as you're doing it. Because that might sound disorganized or kind of, ramshackle, but it's not. It sounds like that fits in with what you've already been doing, where, Rob might come up with something and then send it off to you, Ambrose, and then you change it. And then by the time Rob gets it back, he changes it again. And so it seems like you guys are really, it's an organic process. And again, with Mel and Chris in the mix now, it sounds like, I don't know who there might be country elements coming. Mel might just throw the country thing back in. You could do like something that would fit really well with Bayou or whatever. I don't know, but I like that idea. I like that you guys are, and especially that, because some bands where, especially if it starts with one or two people, it can be hard for the band to make space for the new people creatively, you know, where it's kind of like, you know, I've been in bands like that where, you know, I'm coming in on somebody else's project. It's sort of like moving into somebody else's house and you never really feel like it's your house, you know? It's kind of like, okay, I'm living in your place now, but and then I've been in bands where it's like, no, 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 you know, we've had this thing, but you know, I want to hear your ideas. I want you to build it with me. And it sounds like you guys are much more the latter, which is cool because I think that'll be a lot more fun for you, Mel and Chris, right? You're not just, you know, so I mean, go ahead.
Yeah, Zorn's been like, you know, go ahead, write some lyrics, you know, be creative. But unfortunately, I've just been really time poor. Like I'd really love to actually bring more to the plate, but at the moment, I should be settled down by the end of September. So I'll be able to concentrate on it a little bit more. But so no, there's definitely, it's got space there for me to be creative and to bring something of Melishah to the plate. But at the moment, I haven't been able to do that. So
well, that's life, right?
I think you know, you can have like a genre, stick to that genre, but I think you know, you should be everyone will bring a different idea to the project, and then it will just naturally go to that spot anyway where it's going to end up. So
and like and Chris, for you, like when you said you were listening to it was Toxic, right? And then you were like, oh, I can hear in my head the bass line, I can hear what I would do. Do you have a sense of, you know, is there a certain element that you want to bring in to kind of to maybe where if Rob sends you something, and I mean, because you guys have already been working on some things, have you had that same experience like Ambrose was describing of Rob sent me something and it started out here, but then I put this in there and it completely changed the song? Or is it too early for that yet? Or
I would say it's a little early to say, but for me personally, I don't think I have a particular style. You know, when you think of something like Fieldy from Korn and you hear it and you know it's him.
Very distinctive, right?
I don't have anything like that. I listen to it and then I just play what I think would fit. And because I do listen to a lot of different genres, a lot of different styles. So, you know, my idea base is pretty extensive. But I just don't have anything that's specifically me.
Right. And it doesn't sound like you have a musical agenda either. You're serving the song, it sounds like, which I don't know. I think a lot of the best music comes out of that rather than trying to shoehorn it into something specific. And Anger Overdose is not something specific. I mean, I don't think so. I think from song to song and from album to album, like you said, Rob, you know, you put two things next to each other and you're not going to hear the same thing. So like, for example, you know, I was pretty deep in the catalog at this point and I'm listening to Voices and I'm not like in my head, like the song Voices, although that happens sometimes too. And I'm thinking to myself like, okay, you know, there's more of a synth at the beginning and it's almost got like this kind of R&B feel, and you might hate me for saying that, but that's something that I was hearing and I was kind of like, okay, you know, it's from, I mean, you can't really say verse to chorus, but you know, from part to part of the song, it'll get heavier, it'll get lighter. You know, you guys play with tempo and rhythm and dynamics and, you know, the way that you do the vocals and, you know, there's so much, you know, there's just so much going on that it's odd for me that you manage to do songs that are so standalone from each other, but they work as an album and they work as a sound for the band. Do you know what I mean? Like it's because usually like if you have a band that does have a very distinctive sound, or like Chris said, if there's like, you know, at least one person in the band and really, especially if it's like the bass player or the drummer, if they have a very specific style, that more than anything else, to me at least, is going to define what the band sounds like, because the bottom end there is like, that's what's going to get you up and make you dance or not. It's going to be what drives the groove or not. You know, and it's really, that's the anchor. But I don't think you guys, you know, I don't see you having been slavish to, like you said, you don't really care what you call your genre or what you're doing at the time. And so you have a lot of freedom in that. And I'm just, listening through everything, I was struck by that, what's my point? My point is really like, I have listened to albums where I feel like I'm hearing a slightly different version of the same song within a very specific genre over and over and over and over again. And that's not even necessarily bad unless you don't like the genre or the song, I guess, and then you're sort of shit out of luck. But you guys don't do that at all. And yet there is a thing where if you put this on, you go, okay, this is an AOD song. And I guess I'm trying to figure out how you do that. I know one part of it, at least for me, is Ambrose, because you don't, I'm sorry, Ambrose, I'm going to have to keep complimenting you, dude. You're going to have to fucking deal with it. And then I'll go back and lower expectations later. But you don't often have access to guitar skill like that. Right. So right there, you've got an element that is unique and a draw. Right. And then Rob, you are so good at, the songwriting and the production and pulling all these pieces together. And from what I'm hearing, it might not even be linear. You might be taking part of something that Ambrose does here, or Chris will do here, or Mel does here, and putting it there and reworking it and whatever, and responding to the song as you're making it, right? And and then Mel's got this beautiful voice, and we all know what the fuck Chris does on the bass, which is awesome. So I mean, it I know you don't think you have a particular style. I don't care. I hear a moving bass line, I'm a sucker for that to begin with. And I was a little worried when I started listening to Isaac Event, and I'm not going to take this in a different direction, but because people had been okay, you're kind of I'm this little kid, you're kind of new to metal. Isaac Event might be a little bit scary. So here's a candle and a blanket, whatever. And I was kind of all right, what am I in for? And I was kind of shocked by the fact that I was okay, people thought I was going to be scared or whatever. I'm I really enjoy this, but you guys are all distinctive. Okay. So I think that's sort of my long-winded point, but putting that all together and making it work, and then making it sound like you, but not sound like anything you've done before or anything you might do next. Is that as hard as it sounds? Because to me, that seems like a lot to juggle. I guess that's more to you, Rob, maybe initially, because you're kind of the...
Yeah, I guess just like anything, sometimes it's easier than other times, really. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. A lot of times, to be honest, I decide I want to make some music. I'm bored. I sit around, I just start fucking around, and what happens, happens. And I really don't care to fit into anybody's particular idea of what something should sound like or what kind of category it is. I listen to, 99% of what I listen to is metal. I'll be frank. You know what I mean? I grew up on Slayer, Megadeth, Metallica, Pantera, Sepultura, Cannibal Corpse, Carcass, Children of Bodom, People Borger, Cradle of Filth. That's what I listen to primarily.
Right.
Most of my life. I'd say about the past 10 years, it's, branched out a little bit more with, other stuff, but it's usually all rock and this, that, and the other thing. But I'm also a huge video game player and have been my entire life. Right. So a lot of I've been making computer music and chiptunes since the 90s. That I never ever released or would release, but shit that sounds like NES Mega Man or Super Mario Brother or Zelda, that kind of shit.
All right, so I may have to hit you up and slide into your DMs and get at least one of those songs from you.
There's one that I kept after all these years. I'll send it to you. There's one.
Okay, I'm gonna hold you to that. I've got it on video.
I'll send it to you. But but I think that kind of influences my writing to a degree too. Nick Gordon on the Doom 2016 soundtrack. He's if you haven't heard that, check that shit out. Even if you don't play the game, it's heavy, it's dancey, it's industrial. It's if it had vocals, it would be harsh. It would have to be it's just. So I think that kind of influences my writing to a degree too.
Okay.
And I just like like so many different types of metal, and I grew up on country music too, actually, and classic rock, those types of things too. So I always have my first metal band was Megadeth. My first band was Rolling Stones, and then Stone Temple Pilots, and then etc. So You know, so like I'm a little bit more diverse than you would imagine, but I think that I just try to, like I said, I think it's fun to make things that aren't heavy. So I already like heavy music, so I take the influences from shit that might not necessarily be considered heavy. I try to like make it into a fucking car wreck, and then I send it out to these guys, and overdoses the anger, and and now I'm gonna have Mel and Chris add their influences and their tweaks to it too, and I'm always in the best interest of the best song. Like I'll cut something if it sucks, like or add something if it makes it better, even if it's not necessarily my original vision. The Toxic that got released, as great as it is, it's not the original vision at all, and I'm fine with that.
Okay. Ambrose, as I'm listening to Rob talk, I saw you get up and just walk in a big circle and then come right back to where you were. And I was a little worried because you had threatened that if you needed to go to the bathroom, you were going to take us with you. And I was like, where's he going, guys?
No, the dog was knocking her nose on the door to go in, so I had to let her in.
Okay. All right. I'm glad it was the dog and nothing more than that. Not that, we wouldn't love to be part of your bathroom experience, but we would not love to be part of your bathroom experience. So, okay. So, I mean, it sounds like then when you're putting a new song together, I guess, Rob, since most of it does start with you, do you tend to write lyrics first? Do you write them last? Is it all, kind of, do you have a drum beat in mind? Do you have a bass line in mind? I mean, I'm assuming Ambrose is the one coming up with guitar, but like, what do you tend to come up with first?
Well, definitely not lyrics. I hate lyrics. I don't hate lyrics. I hate writing the lyrics. That's something I save to the very end. I've had times where I try to write music to lyrics. I can't do it. So I always come up with the music first. Primarily since I do play rhythm guitar off and on throughout my life, even though I never consider myself proficient at it, that's usually what I hear in my head first is the guitars and the drums. I really like groove. I like syncopated, guitar riffs with the drums, Fear Factory, Slipknot, with the bass drum and the guitar.
I'm going to have to listen to Fear Factory because you've all mentioned it, I think, except for Ambrose at one point. Or maybe even you did, Ambrose. I don't know. But like that, I'm going to have to listen to this band. So just for maybe people like me who are uninitiated, since it seems to be a common reference for all of you. But like what kind of, like what about that seems, because there's something that grabs all of you in that. Like what kind of music are they?
They're industrial metal, I would classify them as for the most part. The first album it's still industrial, but it's more death metal, and then they kind of like went less death metal, more groove metal. I don't know. There's just a groove to it. It's really hard to explain. Their first two albums are masterpieces, in my opinion. The third one's good, but the second is, in my opinion, like top 5 of all time. Like I'll put that out there. Demanufactured. But that sound just always stuck with you too. Probably being a video gamer, growing up in the '90s, and the whole over the top Terminator 2, you know what I mean? Like cyborgs, robots,
running and whatever, and you've
like that was my childhood. RoboCop, I just always thought that shit was cool, the sci-fi vibe and everything like that. And I mean, it sounds like, if Slayer is the soundtrack to hell, then Demanufactured could be the soundtrack to like the fucking Future Wars of Terminator 2. You know what I mean? Like, I just always kind of like that sound. So that's what I hear first: guitar and the drums. And then sound effects. Walking around. Then when I'm happy with it, I'll send it. Even if I'm not happy with it, I'll send it out to them, and we take it from there.
And how often would you guys because the more people you add to a band, the more input you get, which can be great or can make things very difficult, right? Like you can either have a great meeting of the minds, you can have a disagreement that leads to something that's better than what either of you or any of you planned, or you could just end up with this absolute logjam. And again, I mean, I know that the 4 of you working together seems relatively new. I mean, when did this idea for Chris to come in? Chris, when did you, is this within the last couple of weeks? Is it a month or two? How new is this, first of all?
About a month. It's been about a month in the making.
Okay, so it's really, really new. So I mean, obviously, you guys don't have too much experience yet, and if Rob, you and Ambrose have best behavior, I imagine maybe you two are still kind of on it, just for Mel and Chris's benefit. I don't know, maybe not, but like, you know, in terms of, you know, if Rob, you come up with something, Ambrose, do you ever go, I'm not feeling this. I don't think we should work on this. Has that ever happened? You know, like, you guys have been together the longest, so I'll ask you that first.
I don't know if I've ever completely shot something down. I've tried to rework a couple of things. I'm pretty easy. Like I'll try to put something to anything.
Okay.
You know, if I'm just not into it, you know, I do my best with it because everything has potential. It's just what you can do with it.
Mm-hmm.
So, you know, and if I can't do anything with it, I try to put it on the back burner for a little bit.
Okay. Well, and I imagine you guys knowing each other basically your entire lives, you can do that more freely because you have all that relationship equity built up. But like, so Rob, if like Mel comes to you with something and goes, you know, I can't, I know you want me to write lyrics for this, but I can't. You know, or Chris is like, well, you know, I just like the bass part just doesn't, it's not ringing with me. Would you fling it back to them and go, okay, you know what, let's either scrap this or tell me what you would do instead? Or like, are you more used to kind of, you know, you and Ambrose are used to working together. So how has it been bringing in Mel and now starting to bring in Chris? Like, do you find it is, you know, sparking creativity for you guys? Is it just an adjustment period? I mean, I'm not trying to sow discord or anything. You guys are obviously making it work, but like, that's a long time to be doing a 2-guy project. And then all of a sudden you've got 3 people and now you've got 4. And I imagine that that's a shift, you know, and one shift for you guys who've been the OG team for all these years. And then another shift for Mel and Chris kind of going, okay, we're the new people on the block, but like, you know, again, we're not just moving into your apartment. This is our band now. And how has that been working so far? And I'd really like to hear that from all of you, if that's okay.
Yeah. Yeah. I've just a bit like Ambrose, really, like whatever Zorn sends me, I just do my best to try and fit into that pocket or a little bit out of the pocket and to see if it works. So really, it's just about giving it your best shot and have an open mind. And I love music anyway, so
Yeah.
anything music, I'm going to try and put 110% into. And I think it's just going back and forth, and it's slowly going to, you know, shift and change to be something that's going to work. So I think you just got to have an open mind and give it a go.
Okay. So lately, so far, at least you're 2-3 months with the band so far, like, are you really starting to take over more of the lyrical duties, since we know Rob is trying to get you not only to do all the singing instead, but maybe also write the lyrics so he doesn't have to do it? Or are you more taking things that he sent you lyrically and adding, changing, adapting, like, or is it both?
It's predominantly what Zorn's sending me at the moment. Like I said, I just haven't had the time. I've had a lot going on in my life at the moment to be able to actually have that time and space to actually get creative. You know, you need that time alone. Alone time's great to get creative, and I haven't had that. So, and
also not being stressed would help too. So
yeah, for sure. So but yeah, I'll definitely in the future I'd like to, you know, submit more of my ideas and do some lyric writing, and I do have things that I've started writing that was
my next question.
So I'd actually like to bring that forward to Anger Overdose instead. So and that would be up for, you know, change as well, so to make it more Anger Overdose, not Melishah. So so definitely I've got things that I can bring forward, but I just haven't had the time yet to focus.
And do you tend to start with lyrics, or are you also more someone who starts musically, or does it depend on the song?
Yeah, I can play a few, you know, chords on the guitar, but not really. I'm not really, you know, a musician in that sense with instruments. So yeah, I'm more like.
I love how half the band identifies themselves as not a musician. The music would beg to differ with you guys, but okay. But all right. So, but you're more, okay.
I'm a lyric writer for sure. So when
Okay.
I was in high school, I wrote lyrics for a competition in New Zealand, and I actually won that competition back when I
Look at
was
you.
14. Yeah,
Aw.
so that's when it all started. I was actually a drummer for a band, a school band. So that's
Okay.
where it all started for me. But lyrics is what I love to do. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So that actually, once you have time and mental bandwidth, that's going to be exactly what Rob is looking for because
Yeah.
Rob seems to be masterminding his ways very slowly out of doing everything for this band. So, and then Chris, to kind of throw the same thing to you, being that you are part of another, a band that's a two piece, in terms of the writing process, and what you might be used to from that, like, where do you see yourself slotting in? Do you also have things I mean, obviously, being a bass player, it's a little bit different that, like, if you have specific lyrics or a specific guitar riff. But again, as I think, and it's only partly biased because I'm married to a drummer, but I think that bass players and drummers are always the unsung heroes of bands. You really could have a lot of, I hate to say, but you really could have a lot of input as to what the ultimate sound is. Do you have things that you want to bring? Is there stuff that you've been working on that you think you might AOD up, or are you just more at this point in receiver mode, and kind of sort of getting the feel for the band?
I would say if I was the primary songwriter in a band, we wouldn't have any songs. So I've always kind of struggled, putting stuff together.
Okay.
I've switched back and forth between bass guitar, electric guitar. Being an active duty military, I mean, it's hard to find people that play because everyone that says they can play never has equipment, and everyone and then everybody that has equipment generally can't play.
Play. You're looking for both, ideally. Yeah, that would
Right.
be okay. So you don't have a ton of people that you can just work with, and so, but you don't think of yourself as a songwriter, or you don't want to be the primary. Once there's an idea, you can kind of come in and edit and add, but you don't want to just start from scratch. Is that more the?
Well, I just got back into music about a year and a half ago. After
I didn't realize it was. Oh.
I had about a 4-year break. I didn't play anything. I actually sold all my instruments. But being in Korea for going on 3 years now, I got nothing but time. So I bought a guitar from a guy and was working with another guy that I work with, and he was playing drums. And I wrote about 3 songs, I think. They're on my YouTube channel, and we would just get together and jam. But as far as trying to influence the band in any way, I don't think so. Bass players don't generally do that. I mean, there's only so many Primuses around where the bass kind of controls the direction of the music.
Star of the show, yeah.
Right. So what I try to do, and like I did with Iziga Venin, is just try to add, complement what's already there. Mm-hmm. And just do the best I can with whatever canvas I'm given.
Gotcha. Okay. So, all right. So, Rob, it doesn't sound like you're going to get a complete get out of jail free card on having to do all the stuff that you've been doing. But I dig the fact that you guys are, because you've added 2 new people now you all seem to have a slightly different mindset around what you're going to bring, what you're used to bringing to your music, what you primarily do. I mean, Ambrose, obviously, I'm assuming you think in guitar riffs, and at least musically. And then Rob, you've kind of got, depending on where you start with a song, if it's rhythm guitar or if it's drums or whatever. And then, Mel's over here with the lyrics and the vocals, and Chris comes in and says, all right, I'm going to identify what I can do best here on bass. Like, I'm just excited to see where the band goes, because I have the feeling, Rob, you're going to force people to have more input than maybe they want to, because you do seem like a person who's very interested in getting feedback on your stuff and changing what you started with and taking the song from one initial starting place to a completely different, possibly place by the end. So, I mean,
Right.
Yeah.
I had full control for 2 albums for the most part, right? I mean, and I feel in some ways, maybe I've reached my creative limit with my ability on what I can produce from a guitar standpoint, at least, right, or from a vocal standpoint. But I have other things in my head that maybe now I can actually write for or get out and not have it be terrible by surrounding myself with, other individuals
Really talented people,
exactly, that are competent. So, even if I'm still the one starting with the base idea and I pass it out to them and they make it better, I'm all for it. Like, I want to put out the best song that we can now and, incorporate, and maximize all their skills.
Yeah.
And and like I said, I identify more as a producer or a songwriter anyway. So I want to, even if it is me, here's my idea, and then they make it better, and then they give it back to me, and then I mix all the ideas together, and then whatever. I just want to put out the best music that we can put out.
Yeah. So, I mean, is that really how you decided to start expanding the band? Was it just feeling like you had hit a wall with what you felt you wanted to do on your own? Because, I mean, you're right. You and Ambrose, I mean, obviously put it together, but you did have two albums where you were largely masterminding things. Ambrose seems to be a little more chill, like, I'll kind of play on whatever. I mean, was that really the reason you decided to start adding people?
I mean, we weren't even really sure we were going to continue, to be frank, after the lukewarmer section of the second album. I put that out in October, and it sat around doing, shit for months. We didn't have money to promo it, things, this, that, and the other thing. It just was what it was. And we were talking, we didn't even know we were going to do anything else. And we have a song, Reborn, that was supposed to end up on AOD and did not. It was just not finished, but that was one of the ones that was closest to being finished at the time. So I got bored one day and I just started fucking around with it. And I said, let's just release this one last single, just get it done. It's almost done. I'll produce it myself.
Yeah.
This, that, and the other thing. And just, whatever, just get it out, just get it out. And that was around the whole Facebook, community starting to build up, this, that, and the other thing. And we just ended up with a lot more support this time than at any other time. And I don't know if it's a difference in, how I was doing things on Facebook versus how I was doing in the past, just the right place at the right time, being friends with, I've been talking to, Agbat for the past, since we started. I've been tight with them guys, talking back and forth with them. And, they threw me a bone the one day when I was under 100 followers, and it just started to blow up from there. And I just started interacting with people, and I found fun in that. So kind of like the build up to, actually releasing Reborn made us rethink a little bit, like, well, hey, maybe we could keep going. This is fun again. Even if we're not getting as many eyes on us as we would like, it's fun, right? So we went back and looked at some stuff. And like I said, 1999 was originally supposed to be on AOD. It just wasn't done. Some other stuff that I won't talk about. A lot of the material was sitting there. So it gave us an opportunity to try to finish it out, and flesh it out, and make it better. And I couldn't be happier than where we're at this particular moment. I think there's been a big progression in our sound, and I'm happy with the stuff that we're putting out. I'm looking forward to doing it. But in regards to did I feel like I hit my creative limit? It was more like I said, 1999 was not finished. It was sitting around. I wanted something else to put out. We knew it was catchy, but it was missing something.
Yeah.
And the chorus just, it wasn't hitting the way I wanted it to hit. And I said to Ambrose, we either scrap the song, I re-record the chorus, or we find a girl to sing it.
Okay.
And Ambrose said, find a girl. So I had, like Melishah had said, we had been chatting back and forth thanks to Red Eyes and the playlist I was putting together and all of our stuff. We were already, friendly, and I knew that she was in the Facebook circle and everything. So I just hit her up and was like, yo, have you ever considered, singing on some heavy stuff? She was like, I love Pantera. And I was like, so I sent it to her, and I love Pantera as well. So I sent it to her, and she said, well, sure, absolutely. And well, it worked. And then, so I sent her the Toxic joke, and I was like, let's make this work. And here we are. And then, being a fan of Chris, his band, and just getting friendly with him with the Facebook chat and talking. We were just talking on Messenger the one night, and I was like sending him stuff for feedback, and he he was interested in listening, and we just got to talking, and here we go. It's like I'm just accumulating people and trying to assemble. I'm trying to assemble the best fucking band I can. So
You're like musical Voltron at this point.
Right,
You just
exactly.
so many people. So I mean, I think I think that it's very cool that you guys were. Well, it's not cool that you guys were maybe about to be done with AOD, but I think first of all, I appreciate the irony that a song called "Reborn" was the thing that kind of got you guys back in the
Right.
game. But I mean, and I get it, like that's a song that's one of my favorites out of the whole catalog too. I mean, like I really like Bayou, I like Voices, as I said, obviously 1999, Toxic, whatever, but like that's another one that I felt like it's kind of more, it's creepier. I mean, if I can use that word, and I mean it in a good way. It's got a very, and it seems, I don't know, to me it sounds a little bit stupid to say like it's got a dark vibe, because I think metal kind of inherently is in a darker area, but even within that there are shades. I mean, even to me as a newer listener to the overarching genre or whatever, but like but then you have a song like Nothing, where it's a completely different feel, much more anthemic, and back and forth with, as I said, like tempo changes, and then just the guitar. Like, it's so funny in my head as I'm listening to the songs. I've said before, I'll sit there and I'll close my eyes and I'll just listen to the albums or the singles or both, whatever. And in my head, I'm kind of making these notes, and like, on every song I was like, and then Ambrose fucking kills it and like just shreds something. And I'm like, okay, so, and I think that because production isn't something that people are aware how difficult really producing something well is until they hear something produced badly. It's kind of like being part of stage crew, where if the people in the audience recognize you and know that you're around or aware of you, you're doing your job wrong. You're supposed to make everything be smooth. You're supposed to make everything run really well and sound really good and look really good, but nobody's supposed to really think about that. And so I'm first of all, I'm just glad that you guys didn't decide to end. That would have sucked.
Well, thank you.
Yeah, it really would have. But so, I mean, do you, I wanted to ask this question really of at least both you, Rob, and Ambrose, but, maybe Mel and Chris have an opinion. Maybe they don't. Is there a song of AOD's that you guys really love that you feel just did not get its due? Like, is there a song where you're like, man, I really thought this one was going to blow up and it didn't, or people liked it, but it wasn't as popular as something else? Or do you kind of feel like, I mean, I know you were talking about the second album kind of not landing the way that you were thinking or hoping it might, but like, if you guys had to go to a particular song, is there one where you kind of be like, hey, anybody watching this, if you haven't already heard this one, I really love this one, go back and listen to it?
I want to answer last.
Okay.
For me, I would have to say No God.
Okay. Why that one?
Just the way the groove, it grooves. It fits into a lot of pockets, and I was a little surprised that one didn't get more attention.
Okay. Yeah, that I'm trying to remember. That one's I feel like that one I was paying a lot of attention to the drums. I feel like the drums are like
it's a drum it's a drum heavy song for sure.
Yeah. So it's always so weird what works for people and what doesn't, right? But that's okay, so that's your answer. All right. So Mel, Chris, I mean, I know it's like a weird question to ask you when you're newer to the band and you weren't involved in them, but like, have you listened through to anything and been like, wow, I know everybody talks about 1999 and now everybody's talking about Toxic. Toxic is doing, by the way, we should say, at least from what I've seen, really well. I know it's only been out, like 24 hours or whatever, but people, I mean, on Band Together, everyone was like, oh, holy shit, so great, Britney Spears. And I think people finally started to get why you've been talking about her for, I don't think it's the only reason you've been talking about her for all this time, but I think the tag started to make a little bit more sense anyway. But like, is there anything that you guys, and I don't want to call you out if you haven't listened to the whole Anger Overdose over yet or whatever, but like, was there a particular song of theirs where you were like, oh wow, as I'm going through, like, or something maybe that if you guys, and this was a question I wanted to get to, but I can kind of lead into it this way, if you guys went back and redid some of the old stuff that AOD did at any point, like one that you might want to pick out, or if they don't have answers, Mel and Chris, I guess maybe, Rob, you and Ambrose, you could be like, yeah, actually this might be something we might want to revisit. Mel, Chris, not to put you on the spot, but anything that leaps out from the catalog, or you just happy moving forward with the new stuff?
Yeah, look, I have listened to all the old stuff that's been released prior to me. But yeah, I don't really have a comment on that one. It's really hard when you haven't been part of the process.
Yeah.
To really make a proper comment on that one. So gotcha. I'll just leave it as that.
Yeah, and you're ready to go forward. So I totally
move forward. Yeah. And
Chris, what about you?
I'm with Mel, but I would say honestly, the first song that I worked on, if that doesn't propel us in the right direction, I'm going to be at a loss for words. And it's not because I'm on it. No,
I didn't take it that way. But, I mean, I think that will have something to do with it, but I didn't think you were saying that.
And the people that I have shared it with, close friends, they were like, wow.
Okay.
They said this is a good direction. So.
Okay. Can you guys give us any info? I know, Rob, you're like the Mr. Burns in the castle or whatever. You don't want to like give away anything, but like, can you tell us anything about the next thing that's coming out? Can you tell us even, I know we're talking, you said probably, mid-late August or whatever. So I guess if you won't tell us, which I'm assuming you won't, we don't have that long to wait, but do you want to tease us with anything about it, either of you, any of you?
I'm not really going to tease you on how it sounds, but it's fucking good. I
tried, everyone watching at home. I tried to get some tea, and I got.
I will.
It sounds like us. It definitely sounds like us.
Wait, shut up. Ambrose was going to tell me something. What, Ambrose? Tell me.
So, it does sound like us, but it is so dark and drippy.
Okay. All right. I'll take that. I think that's the most I'm going to get. But okay, so we are really aiming in a different direction.
I don't know if it's a different direction as much as an evolution of a path that we've been on.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, it does not sound. I know that all of our shit sounds different, but like it still doesn't sound out of place. It still fits in with
right.
It sounds like Anger Overdose.
Yeah.
Okay.
You will know it is us, but it is, it's just it's a little bit different.
Okay, so you're kind of kicking it into another gear then.
You'll see.
It's great because, you do an interview show and what you're really hoping for is that the people you're talking to won't give you any answers about anything. Because
hey, I gave you a brand new member.
You did. That's true. I can't complain too much. And Ambrose did give me a description. So fine. Once the cameras go off, and maybe I'll try to get a little more information out of you. But so I wanted to come back to the question that I started to ask. For you guys, Rob and Ambrose, do you have any plans? And it sounds like maybe you don't because you guys are evolving and working towards something that's more progressive rather than regressive. But do you think you might at any point go back and take any of the songs that, and I think I actually need to ask you guys, I don't think we got to the, for Rob, for you, the song that maybe you didn't think, did as well as you would have, but like, let me go to that first because I know Ambrose answered it with No God, but you didn't. So is there a favorite child of yours that just was unloved?
My favorite song on AOD is SSDD, Same Shit, Different Day.
I really like that one too.
I really like that one. That's kind of like my Metallica Black Album era ripoff. if I was,
I don't think rip off is the right.
Right,
Yeah,
but that's kind of like the idea I had in my head when I came up with the riff and all the other stuff. I really like that one. That's a personal favorite.
Mhm.
But the one that I'm surprised it didn't get as much attention as, and I believe at the time, even Ambrose agreed, is Army of the Undead. We kind of thought that was going to like hit because it's it fit with the whole B movie thing that we've always been doing. Zombies. His guitar playing on it, he shreds. Like
I know.
absolutely shreds.
That's one of my starred ones in my head. Yes, absolutely. It is so wide open, and it is so.
I love that song.
It's relentless, and the guitars do add a huge.
I think that song kicks, and I mean even people who like are fans of the band of maybe not deep dived into it. I'll send that to them. And they haven't heard it yet. And they're like, "Why have I not heard this?" And I'm like, "I know. Like, why haven't you?" Like,
why haven't you? Damn it.
Yeah.
No. It really, and I mean, there are certain songs of yours that I think would work really well. Like, and I did keep having those thoughts, either like movie soundtracks or video games, and that's one of them because it puts you in a feeling so immediately, and I like too that it's like, I think you have a couple of songs where the guitar and the vocals kind of work in tandem with each other, right? Where Ambrose, you're kind of echoing what Rob is singing. And with that one though, it's like the song, it's not stop and start, but it's more you keep sort of bringing us here and then pulling us back and taking us there and then pushing us back here, and it is kick ass, and I didn't know how it had done or not done, but I am surprised to hear that wasn't a really popular one, because it's even just like the concept of it, it's kind of like you would think it would be popular just for that. I mean,
that was our Halloween song last year. Yeah, so it's like I did it all on purpose, but it just
yeah. All right, so everybody has to go listen to No God and Army of the Undead, because now they've not been loved enough. They just haven't.
On the flip side, the opposite answer to the question, one song that did do pretty well off of that album that I didn't expect is Burn. I almost didn't even want to release that one.
Why not?
Because it's so different than everything else that we've absolutely done.
Okay.
And I originally was going to put it at the end of the album because they say sometimes you just let the worst song die. I was just going to throw it at the end of it, and then at the last minute, I put it as track one. I don't know why, but I'm kind of glad that I did. And but yeah, that one was one that I didn't expect to get any momentum behind it, and it didn't get as much momentum as I would have liked, or maybe it's like some big like Bayou or Circus or something. But as far as that AOD album goes, that would be the hit, which that surprised me.
Well, it's funny because Mel had mentioned it along with Bayou earlier, so clearly it did reach. But so I mean, just because it was different, that's why you. Is it that you like it less, or I mean, you must not have loved it.
I mean, I kind of like all the. I kind of like all the songs that I wrote them. You know what I mean?
I would hope so.
Right. There are a couple I wish I didn't release, but we won't talk about the specifics.
Okay.
Bird is not one that I wish I didn't release. But I would be lying if I said that I wasn't, 100% confident in that one. And yeah, because it just sounds so different. It's almost like compared to what the rest of we do, it's a ballad, right? Like, I mean, it's not, but I mean, compared to
you're right. In comparison to the other ones, it's.
I mean, so is Bayou to a degree too, but Bayou has the whole serial killer, cheesy, schlocky thing go to it. Burn is not necessarily our heaviest song from a musical standpoint whatsoever, but it's pretty fucking dark, like
it is, but it I mean, and I think that's another one where the guitar work is especially good. It's amazing. That's why we had to put it out. Yeah, I mean, but it's I know what you mean about ballads, because you really don't have ballads, but you do have ones that are less heavy, if you could say that. But I think for me, maybe part of why Burn might have been more popular than you expected is because I do think it has a little bit more of that rock feel. I mean, largely because of the guitar, but like it is. I still think it's heavy. You know,
Yeah, I
but
mean, I don't think anything I do would necessarily be light, right? But like
no,
comparatively,
probably. Yeah. Okay.
yeah.
So oh, that's interesting. I didn't realize that you were at a point with Burn where you weren't even maybe necessarily going to release it.
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
so you're saying Ambrose's guitar was what made you, that's what put it over the top?
Absolutely.
Ambrose, you saved the song. Did you know Rob felt that way about it?
Um, not to that degree, but it wasn't like the one that he was talking about the most.
Okay. Okay.
Positively anyway. It was just kind of, yeah, we'll get this done. Maybe we'll do something with it. But I mean, I wasn't aware that it was that extensive.
On the cusp, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So to shift gears a little bit here, because I wanted to. We talked about how Rob and Ambrose have known each other since the Earth cooled, and how AOD started at the beginning or whatever. But Mel and Chris, we didn't really get into how you guys got into music. I mean, I know obviously Mel with your mom, that must have been a big part of, if you're going to gigs all the time and you.
Yeah.
So, I mean, at what point did you really realize, okay, I can sing really well? And, I mean, I know you said songwriting at 14, but like, was that also you writing so that you would have something to sing? Was that your first real, how'd you get into music officially?
I've just naturally always just loved music. It was just always a part of my life. I remember being 5 years old and in the car with my cassette of Kylie Minogue. So, and singing my heart out.
She is a gateway drug, yeah.
Yeah, so it was just a natural thing for me. But growing up, I was very introverted and very not confident at all. So I never sung in front of anyone. I, was in a school choir, but I never ever did anything where it was just me in the spotlight. I was always had to have like a group of people around me for me to feel confident. So, school choirs. I was also in a Maori culture group, which you sing in Maori and you with the poise, and so I did competitions with them, which is all musical based, obviously singing, but it's just in a different language.
I feel like those were all words, but I'm not sure what they all meant. So,
so in New Zealand, there's the Maori, which is the indigenous culture of New Zealand. So part of my schooling was learning their language, which I do have in my family anyway, but I'm very white, so you wouldn't know.
Okay.
But so it was just all part of growing up, but it was very musical based.
There's a thing where everyone who lives in New Zealand learns the language, and then it's like competitions around it, or
not everyone. It was just in my particular school.
Okay.
It wasn't compulsory to be in that group. You had to actually join, but we did learn the language just growing up. The alphabet and common words and all that type of stuff. So,
oh my God, you have to do some of it for AOD now. How cool would that be?
Oh, it's been too long. It has been too long.
I don't even really know what it. I mean, I don't want to make you do anything that you're uncomfortable with, but like, can you give us a little bit of it, or is it just you've completely forgotten it all? Or
yeah, I pretty much have. I know words.
Oh, Nell.
Yeah.
Okay.
I know little words. But a good band to actually listen to is Alien Weaponry.
Yeah, I was just about to ask you.
Alien
Weaponry.
Yeah. Alien Weaponry.
Yeah,
okay.
It's a heavy metal Maori band, and they sing in English as well. But there's some pretty cool songs released by them.
Okay.
Yeah, so definitely look them up. And that will give you great insight.
No, I'm really curious because I've only ever heard about the language, but I don't think I've ever heard it. So, okay, all right. So, you did that, and then how did you come out of your shell? How did you decide to start singing in front of people? When did that confidence?
Well, that happened a lot later in life. So probably late 20s, early 30s. So
that's a long time to be in the musical closet. That's a very long time. So were you just like sitting in your room or your car or the shower and singing to yourself? Did people around you not even know that you did it? Or
A lot of people didn't know, yeah. So it was a lot just in the car, shower, great place to sing.
Yes.
But yeah, I actually just was like, right, I need to do this. My life's, passing me by. It's what I love to do.
Mhm.
What am I scared about? What's really going to happen if I do this?
Yeah.
So I actually went and got vocal training. And part of that vocal training was they have showcases, like mid-year showcases and end of year.
And
so
you
have
are
to get up on stage.
Yes, you have to. Okay.
And
Thank
I
goodness.
froze big time.
Oh, you did.
Yeah.
You froze.
Yeah, I
Oh
was
no.
all tired, and you can't get the the notes out and etc. But by the end of it, I was a lot better. So
Okay.
I think you just have to push yourself to be uncomfortable.
That's right.
Really. But
Yeah, I
going
don't think
back
you grow otherwise. Yeah.
through high school, it was mainly, like I said, I had a school band and I was the drummer.
Right.
And I wrote lyrics. My sister-in-law now, she was the vocalist. So she married my brother in the end.
Okay.
But yeah, she was the vocalist. So me and her would just write the music together. And then, I kind of just had a break, it all kind of just stopped. And then I was like, right, let's get back into it. I've got all this music sitting here. I need to start getting it out. But,
I'm so
because
glad that you did.
I don't have the skills to do production and all that type of stuff. So I literally had to hire a studio, which is very costly.
Oh, yes.
So, yeah.
Oh, yes.
So,
now you have Rob. You can just make him do it for free.
Yeah.
There you go, Rob. You're on the hook now.
Yeah, it's really great to be part of a group of people that are very talented.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Yeah. Okay, well, I'm glad that you got over your stage fright because clearly we all know it wasn't warranted, but I know that it's very hard to have confidence for things like that, especially if you're an introvert to begin with, which, believe it or not, most people don't believe it, but I actually am. I just spend all my time talking to people anyway, somehow. I don't really know how that happened. But okay, Chris, what about you? How did you get into music? I know you said that you were away from it for a long time until like the past year and a half or so, but when did you start? And did you start, I know you said you had, different like bass and electric, but like, were you always primarily a bass player or?
I guess I got into music because I come from a musical family. My dad and his brother, they both played in bands when they were in high school. Oh, cool. My dad's band actually opened up for the Amboy Dukes back in '67. So I don't know if anybody's familiar with them. That was Ted Nugent's first band.
I only think I know that because we used to play with a guy who was a big Nugent fan. And I knew the name, but I was not placing it. So, okay, that's okay. So your dad must have been doing okay for himself with that band.
Yeah, it didn't last long. It was kind of a one-off opportunity.
Oh,
but,
okay.
Being born in the '80s, I was into the Michael Jackson stuff and then New Kids on the Block. I had an older sister, so
okay.
But my uncle, my dad's brother, gave her Metallica's Black Album on cassette when it came out. She hated it, so she gave it to me, and I played it so much that I broke it, and that was kind of my introduction to metal. And,
that's cool. Okay.
So, around 9th grade, I've been bugging my parents for a guitar. I wanted a bass guitar. I saw a picture of Peter Steele and I said, I want to be that. I want to be that guy. And so they conceded and they said, you can have a guitar as long as you're never in a band. So
wait, what?
Yeah,
why? Why didn't they want you to be in a band?
They didn't want me to go down the path that a lot of musicians go down.
Okay.
Drugs and everything else. So,
okay. They thought the bass was a gateway drug to actual literal drugs. So, okay. All right. I guess I can understand that. But you, I'm assuming, didn't listen, but you got your bass.
Right. I got my bass. And then, I was in a cover band in high school. And then I graduated and joined the Marine Corps. And I went to Okinawa, and they had an amazing metal scene out there.
Really?
And they really do. The Okinawans and the Japanese are very talented musicians. So
I just didn't know it was a big metal scene. That I didn't know.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
And so that got me playing guitar. I went and bought a guitar and dabbled around with a few things. And when I got to Jacksonville, North Carolina, I joined a band. Well, we formed a band called Severed Faith, and that had a lot of potential. But in 2004, I got deployed to Haiti, and then as soon as I got back, my drummer and my guitarist both deployed to Iraq. And then I ended up getting out of the Marines, so that was kind of the end of that. Went back to Michigan, joined the band Toilsome out of Lansing.
Okay.
And, I got out without a plan. So, I was kind of scraping my way through life and found them. And that lasted for about 2 or 3 months. And I said, I got to get out of Michigan. So I joined the Army.
Oh, man.
So,
okay.
Yeah. And then, I dabbled around with a few things and never really had anything consistent. I worked with a few R&B artists. I worked with one of Jason Derulo's old producers.
Okay.
Nothing ever came of that. And so kind of fast forward about a year ago, I found a group of musicians. As my drummer here was getting ready to leave, and we've been doing a cover band since about last June or July.
Okay. I'm trying to process you and one of Jason Derulo's producers, and that wow. Okay. Like, so you really musically have kind of been all over the landscape too. As we were talking about earlier with Ambrose being in a cover band, you have to become adept at playing a whole bunch of different stuff because, that's what people want to hear. So, okay. So that's really interesting then so, and Mel, was you were never in a cover band. All your bands were original bands, right?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Okay. So half of you have cover band backgrounds and half of you don't. So, okay. This is a very interesting pie that you guys have put together of influences and genres and history. And it sounds like, I guess, Rob, you and Ambrose have been in music pretty steadily for the last couple of years, but Mel and Chris, you guys are more just kind of coming into it or coming back into it now. So I think that has a lot of potential in my mind too, that, not only are you two new to the band, but you are newer to being back in music. And so you might have excitement and ideas and all this other stuff that you can bring back to Rob and Ambrose and go, oh, hey, you're, where I get the sense that our gentlemen here are maybe a little bit more slightly jaded or whatever about it. I don't know. But I think this is with Chris in the mix now, this group makes so much sense to me. And I'm so excited for what you guys are going to do next. So I know you've got things and you're not going to tell us what they are, but is the stuff that's coming up going to be an album? Is it going to be a series of singles? Is it going to be singles released and then eventually put into an album? Do you even know at this point? Or you're okay? Ambrose, you're shaking your head. No?
I do not know. Rob might know more than I do.
Okay.
I'm not really sure.
My plan is to stay on the Spotify release schedule. I want to just keep releasing singles, right? Once we have enough of the singles out, I'd like to kind of repackage them as an album.
Okay.
But I'm only going to do that if we have, one, enough, and two, the opportunity to maybe revisit and remix some of the other stuff. Like if we put it out as an album, I want it to be all four of us.
Yes.
On the album itself. If not, it stays a single. It's, blah, blah, blah.
Okay.
But if we're going to put it out as an album, like if 1999 ends up on the album, it's because I'm going to ask Chris to go in and lay down some new bass for it and remix, remaster it.
Yeah.
If Reborn ends up on the album, same deal. I want Melishah and Chris to go back and change it up a little bit. Otherwise, what's the point of releasing it? In my
right. Okay. So that does come back to that question that I was sort of semi-asking or pre-asking before about whether the two of you did want to go back and revisit anything with the four of you now. And I think it sounds like you already have some ideas for where you want to do that, but you're not just going to overhaul your entire discography and just put it all out again. But
right. Maybe one or two of the other songs, but I haven't really thought too much of those. Primarily, the 2023 stuff, Reborn. It's kind of like I feel like had I met them just a little bit ahead of time, you know what I mean. But I think for sure I would like to do it in 1999 and Reborn, since those are really the only original AOD songs that don't have the 4 of us that came out this year. So moving forward,
Yeah.
obviously they're going to be part of everything. Toxic, that'll remain a single. So I'm not,
Right, I don't see that going
right.
on one of the albums. Yeah,
Right, right.
plus if putting a cover on an originals album is a huge pain in the ass anyway.
Absolutely,
So
that's why our Megadeth cover is not on any of the albums. That remains just a single as well.
it's smart. No, it's smart. You do not want that headache. So
exactly.
Okay, so I mean, I wanted to ask you guys because we've talked to now in one format or another everyone else in this supergroup, Zealots, but I wanted to talk to you guys about it. I'm assuming all 4 of you are in the mix on this project, or is Chris coming in after the fact? Or
at this particular moment, the super group is basically just one member from each of the bands. So I'm the president. I'm the resident Anger Overdose representative in Zealots.
Okay, you're the ambassador from AOD. I gotcha.
Yeah,
okay.
in this particular moment. Now, whether or not it stays that way, I would have to imagine, because if we start incorporating a whole bunch of other people, I don't know,
Gets to be a lot.
Right. Do we bring Neil in from Death Pigeon, for instance?
Right.
So we're still in the preliminary phases of tracking all that, put it together, and if there's room for some stuff and they're interested and want any of these guys, I'm sure they would be willing to contribute. But we haven't necessarily, got to that point yet. So as of this moment,
that's interesting. You're the first person to tell me that it isn't all of the members of all of the bands.
Well, in Circle of Throne is one guy.
It's Joseph.
Right. Joseph.
And the Rock, but I guess it's Vile, but not Braden. And
Braden's part of it, but that's because Vile doesn't play it.
Sort of spearheaded it, right? So is it just Dom from Jamstake? Is it?
Yeah, it's just
no Rhino, no Chard.
Yeah.
Okay.
Just Dom.
And just JD, no Neil.
Right.
Okay, and you. All right. Okay. I did not realize that. Even having talked to the other 4 bands, I learned something new.
I hope I didn't spoil something or ruin something or whatever, but I also don't want any misconceptions out there, or anything like that.
Sure.
That's what this is, at least as far as I'm aware.
Okay, so we've talked about, AOD from the past, AOD with the addition of Mel. Now we've got Chris coming in. You guys are clearly have a ton of stuff in the works. I'm actually secretly glad that you're not telling us too much about it, because that when we get the surprise later on. So I think this is going to be super kick-ass, and I can't wait for the first thing that we get to hear, in a month or 2 with all 4 of you. But we wrap up every show, as I think with Rob's favorite segment, a little thing we like to call In the Vox Seat. And this is a series of 5 questions. And as I always say, people seem to hate at least one of them every time, but I'm okay with that. So I'm going to just throw this to the whole band here, and you guys can answer it however you like. The first question is, if you have to sum up your music in 5 words or less, what would you say?
Who's going first?
Everyone's thinking. Right. You, Rob, you've been elected.
All right. 5 words. 5 words or less. Okay. Unorthodox. Dark. Humorous. Sarcastic. Fun.
Okay, I like that. Ambrose, I know you might have to pop off. You want to go next?
Yeah, I'd have to say dark, drippy, a little psychotic, and groovy.
Ooh, I like that. Okay. I actually like that a lot in combination with what Rob said. So, okay. Mel, you want to go next?
Yeah, sure. Fun. Very industrial, I guess. I don't know. Dark. Maybe a bit cheeky. And the last one, I'd just have to say fun. It's a lot of fun.
Okay. It's
Yeah.
so fun. You say it
Yeah.
twice. We'll use that. Okay, that's no problem. Okay, Chris, the newest person here. What's your take on this?
I would say dark, industrial, unorthodox, unexpected, and driving.
Oh, that's
Ooh,
good. Yeah. I
Okay.
like that.
All right. Among the four of
Okay.
you, we got some. We got some.
I'll go
good
with
stuff.
Chris.
So your fifth word is just Chris, and then an asterisk, and that's everything that he said. Okay, I got it.
That's
Okay,
right.
so all right. So for each of you, then, your favorite thing about being a musician.
Creativity. Release, I guess. You're releasing your emotions.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Okay. Mel just jumped right in there, guys. Somebody else has to take it.
I'd have to say just the way it forces you to think.
Mm.
You know,
Okay.
solving problems in music is quite the feat when you really sit down and think about it.
Absolutely. Yeah, and it's and that's true whether you're working alone or with other people, because the problems are different and the ways that you have to think are different. That's a great answer, actually. You're right, because it's something that becomes not automatic, but it's something that's so much a part of it. You don't even really think about it, but that's a really, really good point. Okay. All right, Chris, Rob, favorite thing?
I would say for me, it's having the ability to make your mark in history forever, because this is forever, right?
Mm-hmm.
It could never go away.
Mm-hmm.
So I've never had that opportunity before. So I'm glad that, I'm 40 years old and I finally have an opportunity to do that.
That's very cool. Okay.
Very true.
And all right, Robert.
Expression, release.
Okay, so you're aligned a little bit with Mel there.
Absolutely. It gives people insight to what I hear in my head, even if it's not necessarily music, right? Like,
No, I like that. Okay. All right. So flip side for each of you, least favorite thing about being a musician.
Self-doubt.
Hear, hear.
The killer.
Big.
Not being able to make the things in your head sound as good out of your head.
Yes, that's it.
So frustrating. Exactly. Okay. Another great answer. Okay.
I would say the work-life balance.
Yeah, that's another one. Yeah. Just having enough time to do what you want to do. Yeah, absolutely. Okay.
for
All right,
me,
Scully boy.
for me, it's the difficulty in getting people to listen to it.
Yeah, that's true, because you can get all this right, and then if it just doesn't find people, or the algorithm pushes you down or whatever, then you're sort of screaming into the void. I totally get that.
And if you're
Okay.
suffering from, self-doubt, similar to what Melishah had said, that could be a vicious cycle. And it can, music can be
Yeah.
uplifting, but the industry piece of it can be very deflating.
That's right.
So that's definitely my least favorite part of it, is the putting all 110% into something and then watching
And then
it just,
right. No, but you're right, because it's that can also be a thing that kills being creative and making more music, right?
Yep.
So if you're already doubting yourself, and then the scene chews you up and spits you out, and instead of just realizing that it's not personal, it's just the way that most music goes, unfortunately,
Right.
that could completely kill a band or a musician, and anything that they might do going forward. So yeah, it's a big danger. It's true.
Absolutely.
So, okay. I'm very interested for this one for each of you. If you had to pick just one album to listen to, just one for the rest of your life, what album would it be and why?
Oh.
Ambrose is unhappy with me. You look like a Muppet right now, dude. I know. It's hard. But people always ask me, like JD from Death Pigeon, when I said, that I asked him the question, he said, so by one album, do you mean two?
Yeah.
No, I mean one. But if you have a couple and they just pop into your head, I generally let people. But try to think of one that would really speak to you. Okay.
I'd probably be Pantera, Cowboys from Hell. I just love that album. It's my favorite.
Okay.
I could listen to that every day.
All right. See, Mel could do it. Now you all have to step up now.
Oh, I have my answer. I'm just waiting.
No, go for it, because Ambrose looks like he wants to just throw something right now.
All right. I'm going to cheat, but not cheat. Rolling Stones Hot Rockets collection.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay, because I know you mentioned the Stones as an early thing for you back then, but it would be out of everything else, you would still go with. Wow, why is that?
Absolutely, because not only does it have some of the best rock songs ever written and recorded, in my particular opinion, it's memories listening to it with my parents, driving around on car trips, hanging out with my mom and dad. My dad was more of a country guy than a rock guy, at least, by the time I was born. My mom was more of the, the Beatles, that kind of stuff. But,
okay.
But the Stones was something that they both liked, so it was something that got passed on to me and my sister.
Oh, that's great.
So if I had to pick just one thing that I would be stuck with, that would be that.
Okay, so both for the music and the nostalgia. I like that.
Absolutely.
All right, Chris, I'm going to come to you next because Ambrose just looks so unhappy with this question. I'm giving him as much time as possible. Do you have one?
I would have to say Metallica, Kill 'Em All, because Cliff Burton.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Anesthesia pulling teeth.
Okay. I wasn't sure if maybe it was going to be New Kids on the Block, but okay, that's fine.
That was a close second.
A close second, right? Oh, that's the next cover. All right, Oob.
All right.
This is it.
So
I gave you as much time as I could.
It would have to be Rush's Grace Under Pressure 1984 tour album.
Wow, that's so specific. But okay,
Yeah.
why the tour album?
Because that, to me, is, at least for where they were in their career, that was peak for sure. That particular album, because it had just a great selection of songs.
Okay.
So I'd have to go with that.
Rush. Okay. Yeah. I mean, I could see that. I mean, I don't necessarily immediately think of Rush when I listen to you play. There are other bands that come to mind first, but I know I'm supposed to downplay it, but look, I have to be honest. You're really, really fucking good. And whether you want people to hear it or not, I'm saying it anyway. So, but,
well, thank you.
Okay. All right. So this is it. Guys, last question, and I know at least some of you probably know what it is, but the biggie, your toilet paper roll. Does the toilet paper come over the top, or do you pull from under the bottom, and why?
Over the top.
Ooh, okay. Mel and Ambrose right there with over the top. Okay, why is that for each of you?
Well, because that's civilized.
What makes under uncivilized now? It begs the question. I have to ask it.
It just doesn't feel right. It doesn't feel proper.
Okay.
It's too close to the wall.
Yeah, that too.
That's what JD said.
That is what JD was talking from Death Pigeon about little insects crawling on it. And he apologized to the spider community. It was a whole thing.
Yeah.
Okay, so too unnatural and uncivilized and the wall. Okay, now if either of you says under, Chris and Rob.
I say over the top. That's how my wife does it. Happy wife, happy life.
Okay, all right. So yours is a decision by proxy. I got you. All right, Chris, it's all in your hands now.
There's no question. It's over the top.
Look at this, a band 4 for 4. Okay, now you need to do a song called Over the Top. That's it. You could just talk about you could do a whole metaphor and nobody would know, and then you could dedicate it to Vox and Guest because we're the weirdos that want to ask the question. So okay, everybody's in agreement. So if you guys ever manage to all get in the same place, nobody's going to be flipping the roll around in the studio bathroom. That's a good thing to know. Right. So all right, guys, listen, I'm a big Anger Overdose fan. And I mean, I wear this all the time. By the way, guys, the shirts are great. Okay. They're comfortable. They're really good quality. They look awesome. I mean, you can't see, but the back, one of you could maybe show it. The back has 1999 on it. Like they're really great. See, Mel will do it. See, there you go. Look at that. Look at that. Not everyone can look as beautiful in it as Mel, but you can still buy the shirts. Okay. Rob is a close second on the beauty contest there. So by the way, I just want to let you know before you go, I did make myself one limited edition piece of Anger Overdose merch. You want to see it?
I do.
You ready? All right, that's it. That's my see, and it's Anger Overdose, and it has a little trademark. Okay.
I love it.
And then on the bottom it says 1999, right? I could have read, but so
Perfect.
I should have done the whole interview just like this. I'm the only one that has this, but I will auction it off on eBay and send it out to the guys. So listen, I really am. I'm a big fan, and I love you guys, and I loved you individually. I'm so happy that you're all coming together. I know the music is just going to be even more kick-ass than it already is, and I'm just, when it comes out, you guys got to tag me, because I got to be on, like, first in line. I got to hear it. Really, everybody, go look up Anger Overdose. Don't just listen to Toxic, listen to it, but don't just listen to it. Go back to 1999, listen to that. Go listen to the 2 albums. And now that you know Ambrose, No God, and AOD, was it Army of the Undead that was your main? Yeah. Go listen to those too. Love them up, okay? Because I could tell you, I listened to them. I agree with both of them. I'm surprised to hear they didn't take off even more. But Rob, Ambrose, Mel, Chris, thank you so much for spending I was going to say your evening with me, but it's not really for more in some places. But thank you guys. I wish you all the best success. I love you guys so much. Thank you again for being on Boxing.
Thank you.
Guys.
Thanks for
Thank
having
you.
us. We love you too.
Oh, thank you, sweetheart. All right, guys, this is it. This is the AOD in the books, motherfuckers. Now you got to just keep spinning it out, share it. Watch out for the new single coming out, probably about,
Real fast, can I just throw a shout out to the entire community? I'm not even going to bother to try to run down the list of all the bands.
No, you have to list everybody individually, or we're not going to leave it in. It's okay.
Right,
the whole band together in metal, indie music, everybody, community.
Everybody who communicates with us, whether it's all the time, some of the time, or if it's just a thumbs up on one of my posts, thank you for interacting with us and paying attention and just being there and supporting other bands, even if we're not the band for you, just the community in general. Let's all just keep this show going and rolling. And I thank all of you for being there.
Absolutely. Yeah. So listen, get your production on, listen to Rob and the ideas, go listen to Ambrose, just blow your face off with the guitar. Mel, who somehow manages to have the voice of an angel, but also sound kick-ass and badass and strong. And we all know Chris is just going to come in and melt your face with the bass. So you guys want something great to listen to? Go listen to Anger Overdose. Go buy the shirt. And, again, I'll be selling this. Thank you guys again for watching Voxing Guest. We'll see you next time. Bye.
Thank you.